Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Factorio. I'm here again with Rotype, and what do we have on the agenda for this particular episode?
So between episodes, I noticed that our iron plate production is still pretty low. And you can see that again, as we've been talking about, this belt up here is pretty sparse. And the reason that is because once we built all of those extra production items at the end of the bus last episode, we started actually using all of our iron. Now, we can see that it's a smelting issue again. We've talked about this before, but we can see that it's a smelting issue because this belt is full going up into the smelters, and even more, all of these smelters running and outputting. So we just need more smelting to produce the extra iron that we need. And it's not glamorous, but it's a simple process that you need to be aware of and needs to be done every once. And it looks just the same as the other ones do. You just kind of build another line, another column of furnaces and just produce more. It's like I said, it's nothing fancy. You just do it again and build more.
Now, I'm noticing we've done some research over time, and it looks like we have fast splitters now. Is that something we should be upgrading to from here on out if we're building something in our pocket or not?
So fast splitters are an interesting example. Normally, you only really upgrade when you need the additional speed. So for example, this belt here going into these steel furnaces, you can see that the steel furnaces have enough material. We're not struggling to fill up to get material down to these furnaces. So there's really no need to do it faster to get faster belt. Splitters are a little bit interesting because if you have a single belt kind of coming in and you split with a splitter of the same color as the belt, you're not necessarily going to split efficiently. And it's a little bit difficult to kind of show, maybe in between episodes. But the long story short is if you want a perfect split without losing any speed at all, you use the color or the speed of splitter faster than the belt you have coming in, because that splitter can act fast enough to put the material onto the two different belts at the same speed that it's coming in. All of that said, we are at the point right now where we don't really need that. We don't need the faster belts. We're not really having throughput issues. We have other issues that are limiting us before the splitting or the actual sending of materials down the belts. All of that just to say, nope, we're good with yellow. This series is turning me into a long-winded. Used to be a long.
Well, that's your job from here on out.
I guess so. I hope it makes sense and people are, kind of learning and understanding all of my talking.
I've been zoning you out the whole time, so.
Oh, great. Exactly what I want to hear. All right, almost done with this. Just get these on. And this will be very helpful because it will, I don't know about double because I didn't count, but greatly increase our ability to produce iron. I still have these stupid, ugly poles, so I'm just going to stick them wherever they fit. One episode soon, we will make the better poles, and then I will go through and replace all of these crappy poles with better ones. All right, so now we have the second kind of column of iron. I'm just going to go in and split this in, and that'll help us out a lot with this iron throughput. Good. So the next thing, and I believe we talked a little bit about this, actually, I have to pause and empty my inventory. This stuff I don't want to carry around. But the next thing I want to do is make a couple more things automatically on the bus that are annoying to make by hand. Namely, I want to make the belts and I want to make inserters on the bus. That way we don't have to be remembering to make them or making them in our pocket. We can just go to the box as far away as it may be and get some. Actually, I'm going to disassemble this line while I'm here because we don't need this.
I just realized we had these boxes over here with all these belts and inserters, so I just stole some.
Yeah, that was used to be our old kind of temporary green science area. I disassembled it, but ran out of space in my inventory, so I just put the boxes there, disassembled everything else.
Okay, so what's up next on our agenda?
So next on the agenda is inserters, because I hate having to make inserters. So I'm going to tell all of the machines to do it for me. And there is kind of, I don't know if it's considered standard or not, but it's standard for me. It's the way I kind of build all the inserters. Now, as you can see, you open up the menu here. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different inserters, and we're actually 2 more that we don't have the research for. So there's all of these inserters that you can build, and they all take, as you might imagine, similar resources, and all of them, at least at one point in their production chain, except for the burner inserter, require the regular inserter as an input. So you can imagine there are kind of clever ways to go about building this. And again, I'm just going to kind of go over the way I kind of use. I almost said came up with, but I sort of came up with it and sort of copied it from Reddit, but that's kind of how this game goes in a lot of ways. And it's become kind of my standard go-to. And like everything else, it's not necessarily the best way, the way you have to do it, but I like it, so I use it. I'll go ahead and just kind of construct this. And it uses a lot of the same kind of principles we've seen, this passing, especially with kind of boxes in between. So we'll get into this in a moment. Let's see. This one we'll need here. And basically this utilizes the same theory, similar to what we've done over here, where you don't necessarily need everything to run at perfect efficiency, because you just want to have a box of the stuff you want when you want it. And the way that shows up, once I get this figured out here, is by putting these boxes in between. So you can say that the long-handed inserter here needs the regular inserter as an input. And so the regular inserter is going to output into this box, which I'm going to limit. Oh, I don't know. We generally need a decent amount of inserters to 1 row of inserters. Now that box is going to fill up, but only to the point where it's not being removed from the box by the long-handed inserter. And then the long-handed inserter is going to be my end product for this kind of row. So this will just go out. And long-handed inserter just needs gear wheels, plate, and regular inserters. Well, it's getting the regular inserters from here, and the gear wheels and plate are what's going to be on this belt here. And the next column, again, we're going to duplicate the inserter. And then this one, the fast inserter, needs green circuits, plate, and regular inserter. Same idea, just going to get the regular inserter. Now I'm not putting a box here because I don't need to store double inserters. I only want 1 stockpile of inserters, so they go in this box. And up here, I just want to pass them through. So that's what the pass through looks like here. Now, as we said, these need green circuits, so that's why I'm going to bring in green circuits over here. This one will be just solid green circuits, and they can come in. The regular inserters need them here and here, and I'm going to take these up and around so they become available for our fast inserters here. And then again, output goes into a box. And before I forget, I'm going to limit these. We're not making a ridiculous number, just consuming all of our resources. And the rest of this is pretty straightforward. It's kind of the same idea. Just duplicate the regular inserter. Also make a fast inserter, because that is the next input. This will be a fast inserter. Now the next thing is going to be a filter inserter. which will go here. Filter inserter needs the fast inserter as an input, and also electronic circuits. Well, conveniently, we have electronic circuits right here. Fast inserters go through like this. And again, take the iron and gear wheels up. Provide all of our inputs. And here we go. So this basically covers all of the inserters we know how to make right now, except the burner inserters, which actually are pretty simple. We can kind of just stick these in here. They only need plate and gear wheel.
But do we really need to produce those?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And the kind of standard template for burner inserters, the standard template for inserters doesn't even really include the burner inserters because we only use them for power. And with that said, we only use them for steam power. Eventually, we'll be switching to solar power, likely not using them at all. So it's really, up to whoever's building the factory. It's up to you. I do it because at some point I want to not ever build anything by hand, but there's really no absolute necessity. But I already have them built, so I'm going to do it.
All right, so I brought resources your way, and
Right.
I did
So
not.
The only other thing we're missing
is the
is
gears. Now, I did not bring
Correct.
that over from over here because I felt like this was strained enough.
That's right. So, yeah, I've mentioned how, we don't need everything to be perfectly efficient, et cetera, et cetera. That said, you don't want to overburden one particular factory such that you're right. If we had pulled the gears off of this one over here, it'd be a bit straining. So generally what I do about this is I don't necessarily do it down there because if I remember correctly, our bus continues up this far. This is fine, temporarily. But a convenient thing you can do is actually just run it, somewhere up here like this. That'll work just fine. I push the right button, gears there. And actually, we were working at cross purposes, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
the way I've set it up here, you can kind of see, it's a little hard to see, but the gear factory is going to be outputting this on this inserter. And so the gears are going to show up on the right side of the belt. So we just need the iron plate to be on the left. And untake this.
But you're what?
Whoops, that wasn't it.
I had it
There we go.
perfect. It would have done what I wanted it to perfectly. What are you doing?
You had plates on the other side.
What? All right, whatever.
I just have to, disassemble anything you do and do it differently. Just my way.
Oh, all right.
It probably would have worked. But it was probably going to be in the way of our bus. So you can, the bus is very, very not filled in. But I believe this row height is eventually going to be a part of our bus. So the assembly machine would have had to move. I just built it kind of compact in. Oh, you're going to do it anyway.
Huh?
Tuning me out again, right?
And you stole one of my fast inserters too.
Well, in 30 seconds, this will be running, and you'll have more than you can know what to do with. Well, that's a lie. You're always running out of inserters in this game, but I have many. Here's always the age-old question. Did I hook everything up right such that we're actually producing things? We don't have enough fast inserters. That's what we are lacking. A lot of these inserter and kind of simple items like inserters, gears definitely need fast inserters because they operate very quickly. I think everything is good to go. Let's see, we're making regular inserters, then making long-handed inserters. There's always the debug state. Gonna take a look here. I'm gonna go ahead and jumpstart some of this production by giving
Ah, there we go.
all of these extra gear wheels I have in my pocket to some of these machines. There we go. See, now you have a fast inserters in a box.
So what you're saying is I don't need normal inserters in my pocket anymore?
Well, normal inserters to fast inserters don't work exactly the same as the assembling machines. Remember earlier I was talking about how there's really no reason to use a slower assembling machine now that we have the faster ones.
Mm-hmm.
The inserters, I believe the efficiency is not quite as clear cut. So, and especially something that only runs, let's take the science, for example. I believe one of the science packs, yeah, so science pack 1 takes 5 seconds and it only needs 2 materials. So 5 seconds is plenty of time for a slow inserter to feed, all of the materials it needs. The fast inserters draw more power even when they're not moving than a slow inserter. So you can imagine if 90% of the time a particular inserter is actually just sitting still because the machine it's connected to is working, you might as well use a slow one because it doesn't need to be fast and the slow ones draw less power.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it's not the end of the world. It's not like it's a huge amount of power anyway, but it depends on how you play the game. Some people play it, and are concerned about that kind of thing, especially the more power you draw, the more you check the biters, et cetera, et cetera. So it's something to be aware of. Out of habit, I generally use the regular inserters unless I have to. But like I said, not the most important thing in the world. So this is the beginning, at least, of our inserter array. And we'll come back to this a little bit later when we actually have unlocked the next 2 levels of inserters. But for now, this will serve pretty much any need we have for inserters, especially once I go through and remember to fill in the fast inserters where they're required.
Now, because we already have this line that has the plates and the gear, is the next objective to extend that up and do belts as well?
So I generally do belts in a separate array just because belts need an exorbitant amount of gears. And even in this kind of, build it when you can mentality we've been in, which I will continue for belts just need a ton of gear, like a lot of gears. So what's going to happen next is actually we'll probably have to build like a small column in this. I mean, all the trees are in the way. You can actually hardly see my ghost images because of the trees, but build like a small column of maybe 4 or 5 gear factories just to feed the belt assembly area. Because like I said, they take so much gears that it's worthwhile to just have a couple assembly machines just dedicated to transport belts only.
Okay, well, I guess we can start working on that a little bit right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be a lot of tree cutting because we're still in this forest, but that will be the next thing we're up to.
I'm going to adjust the bus a little bit so that we can get the resources where we need them.
Oh, that's a scary thing you just said. Adjust the bus.
Well, I don't know if that's proper terminology, but adjust one of the offshoots. Bring the bus forward is probably the right...
Ah, yes. Extend the bus.
There we go.
I suppose there are a couple accepted terms in the community that plays this game.
All right, well, you know what? I think this is a good point to go ahead and put a cut in the video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner and Rotype signing out.